Remdesivir is a new, originally it was an HIV medication that was developed by Gilead, but it seems to show some efficacy, some use against COVID-19. So let me just talk a little bit about remdesivir because you heard about it in the news 2 days ago. Anthony Fauci, who I have great respect at the National Institutes of Health here in the US, at the NIH, he spent a lot of time 2 days ago on a news conference talking about it. So it's a little confusing to those of us in the scientific community because normally you don't start talking about unpublished preliminary results as the new standard until they're actually reviewed and published. So it's a little bit confusing. None of us have seen the data yet outside the core team that was working on it. The data has not yet been published. If this is a new mechanism, if the remdesivir actually is a new way of treating COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 virus, then that's something that's really interesting. So this may be the beginning of something. You know, if you think back to the early days of HIV, AZT was the first medicine that came out. It first came out and it was very promising, but it actually opened the doorway to many better medications which have been developed over the years. So perhaps remdesivir will be the same. It'll open up a mechanism that we can use to treat COVID. So what did it do? In the study that they were looking at, it actually allowed people to be discharged from the hospital 4 days earlier. So what does that mean? That means it seems to have inhibited the virus a little bit. It didn't affect the mortality. So the number of people that died still died. The people they had two groups, one group getting remdesivir, one group not getting it. The mortality in the two groups was the same, but the people in the remdesivir group were discharged about 4 days earlier. And now there's something that they talk about is something called statistically significant. And that's an important thing when you're doing studies because there's a certain amount of results that happen just from chance, right? So if you flip a coin, if you flip a penny continuously, by the laws of chance, you're supposed to get 50% tails and 50% heads, right? But if you're flipping it, you may actually, if you flip it 20 times, you may not actually end up with 10 heads and 10 tails. By chance, you may end up with more heads and less tails or vice versa. If you flip the coin 1,000,000 times, then by the laws of averages and the laws of chance, you'll get close to the 50% heads, 50% tails. In studies, it's the same thing. You have to make sure that you are accounting for the chance that you could get a result that is only because of chance, not because of the effect of a drug. So when Fauci talked about data trending towards being better on the mortality side, it was like an 11% mortality on the non-treatment and 8%. It was not statistically significant. There was not enough change between 11% and 8% to make it that it could have been done just by chance. So that part of the study is not so relevant. The part that was statistically significant was the fact that they got out 4 days earlier. So very exciting.